Hi guys, Gavbon here from Player, and today I'm going to be taking a look at something pretty special. One of the best, if not the best, motherboard on the X99 platform, socket LGA 2011 V3. This particular board, of course, is the ASUS Rampage Extreme 5, and it also is the Edition 10 model as well, which is the 10-year anniversary of the ROG brand. Now, this particular board itself is expensive, you know, it's £500, but it does come with a lot of features. It comes very heavily packed with features. It's pretty much the top board on the X99 platform itself for Broadwell E. It currently has a Intel Core i7 6950X Extreme 10-core 20-thread processor in it, so what I'm holding in my hand now is worth around £2,000 in total. But yeah, let's take a look and see what it's all about. So, the ASUS Rampage 5 Extreme Edition 10 obviously features support for Broadwell E. Basically, it supports LGA socket 2011 V3 processors. It features 4 fully fledged PCI lanes, and it also obviously includes a plethora of features. Some most notably is upgraded audio capacitors, audio processing chip. You know, it's got 10 SATA ports. It comes with 10 SATA cables as well, so you've got for every port. You've got a U2 port connection as well. You've got M2 support. You know, it comes with full RGB lighting, and obviously we're going to be taking a look at that a little bit later on. But this particular board is very good looking. It's, you know, one of the best looking boards on the X99 platform, and there are quite a lot of good looking boards. In terms of connection support for graphics cards and other PCI devices, it features full 4 PCI x16 lanes. It obviously supports crossfire and 4-way, and it also supports 4-way SLI. Obviously, if you are looking at multi-GPU setups, the top 2 slots, obviously if you've got 2 cards in, it will have 2, obviously if you're going to be using the processor that we've got in today, the i7 6950X, which features 40 PCI lanes, you can have 2 cards running at x16, so instead of running x16 x 8, the top 2 slots will run at x16. The top slot in 3-way, crossfire and SLI, will run at x6, x8, x8. Obviously, if you're going to be running 4, you're obviously going to be more limited as opposed to like x8 and x4. There's also, you've got PCI 1 slots as well. You've got 2 of them. So if you've got likes of the ASUS Sonar sound cards, you've got any like PCI devices, you know, they'll plug in absolutely perfectly, and it shouldn't hinder performance at all. In terms of connecting hard drives and connecting SSDs, and obviously different types of U2 and M.2, this particular board has 10 SATA 3 ports, as well as a fully fledged U2 port, and it also has M.2 ports to supply. You can obviously use the NVMe 951 SSDs with this particular board, obviously for maximum performance. It has a very professional look to it. It's an all black PCB. It's what you would really expect from a top flagship motherboard like this particular one. One thing I do love about the Rampage 5 Edition 10 is this cool armor plate that goes down the back of the right hand side. Obviously if you're looking at it this way, it's a particular side here, and it goes all the way down here, and it looks very good. It's like kind of like what you would expect on the Sabertooth motherboards from ASUS. But obviously it covers half the board, and you know, it doesn't intrude on any of the ports, so obviously you're going to be able to get, you know, your cable management in no problem behind the motherboard tray if that's how you do it. But yeah, it looks very professional. It's obviously got everything you would need on the back. Not that you need anything on the back, obviously, if you're looking at the tracks, the transistors, and the soldering points as well for the different DIMMs as well. But obviously on the front of the board, in terms of heat sinks, you've got a MOSFET heatsink along the top, which, you know, looks great. It's sturdy, it's solid, it's completely screwed in, unlike some boards that we've had in the past from other brands which wobble a little bit. You don't want that with a motherboard, especially when you're paying around £500 like you are for the Rampage 5 Extreme. Obviously you've got your South Bridge heatsink here, big RGB enabled, you know, it's a fantastic looking board, as I've probably said about 12 times now, but you have to really see it up close to appreciate how good it is. Obviously this board is fully RGB as well, so obviously as you can see, the RGB lighting looks absolutely phenomenal when it's plugged in. It's second to none in terms of aesthetics. You know, I haven't seen an RGB motherboard this well implemented since the formula, the Maximus 8 formula, which, you know, is in my opinion, it's probably one of the best looking consumer boards on the market until obviously this came out. So yeah, PCI clips, they're RGB as well. They illuminate. You know, everything about this board in terms of RGB is done correctly compared to some boards that I've seen in the past. And what they tend to do is they'll put one RGB light in a random place, and then, you know, it'll have like a red light on another part of the board, and you've got green, and it does clash. Obviously, you've got the buttons up here as well, the start and the stop button. You've got all the overclockers, because obviously I'm a professional overclocker as well. Well, I like to call myself a professional overclocker. At time of this video, I'm around 14th in the UK. If that makes me a good overclocker, then so be it. But yeah, this particular board has obviously different switches. So obviously you can see the switches. You've got two blocks with 4 switches each. Now you can obviously turn the PCI lanes off. With these switches, you can obviously turn DIMM slots off as well. So instead of when you're doing extreme overclocking, instead of having to unplug things and install new cards and stuff, you could install all 4 cards, all 8 DIMM slots, and obviously turn off them individually. Saves bandwidth as well if you're going to be doing different benchmarks. Different benchmarks require different, you know, aspects of performance. But as well, if you're doing things like memory overclocking on the CPU with the IMC, the integrated memory controller on the Intel chips, you don't want 8 DIMM slots, because obviously you're not going to get as much performance, you're not going to get as faster speeds, and obviously, you know, if you're an overclocker yourself, you'll understand that. But yeah, the Rampage 5 Edition 10 comes with a wider range of accessories such as 10 SATA cables, Wi-Fi adapter, I/O shield, and all necessary cables to get this particular board working out of the box. ASUS have included the Supreme FX Hi-Fi ESS E9018K2M digital to analog converter, or a DAC. It features a Texas Instruments LM54562. It features a 6.5mm headphone jack, 3.5mm headphone jack, and a 3.5mm mic in and line in connector. It's an absolute fantastic little bit of kit, and it fits in the front panel of your case. So yeah, it's pretty apparent that this board is powerful, that it comes with obviously enough accessories to drown yourself in. It's obviously this particular board, the Rampage 5 Edition 10, it's around £500. It's £499.99 depending on what retailer you use it. Scan, overclockers, Amazon tend to have this board at £500. I haven't checked any other retailers currently, but I would imagine it's going to be level around £500 everywhere you go. Obviously there's a lot of plus points about this board. You know, it's fully feature set, it's feature heavy. Obviously the Supreme FX front panel audio, the DAC, it's, you know, you don't get that with any other motherboard. You know, people who are going to sit here and go, oh, £500, why am I going to spend £500 on a motherboard? Well, this particular platform is an enthusiast platform. It's not designed for budget. So the CPU that's in it at the moment, and that we've been using with it to obviously give it a run, run some benchmarks, and it has been performing very well. It's performed brilliantly, in my opinion. You know, the Enthusiast platform 2011 Broadwell E, it's the CPU in it is around £1,500. Now, you want a board that's going to be getting the most out of it, and this is the kind of board that you want to get. This is the top of the range board. It's the top market board. You know, it's got everything that you could want. Obviously, if you're not going to use a lot of the features, obviously there are alternatives. There's the ASUS X99 Strix Gaming, and you know, other boards as well. The particular reason why I love this board so much is obviously because I'm an extreme overclocker myself. I can appreciate the features on this board and the functions and, you know, everything that goes into it to give it the full complete package. Now, obviously this is a Republic of Gamers board. You know, Republic of Gamers are famous throughout the gaming and overclocking scene. They have been for the last 10 years. You know, this is the Edition 10, the 10-year anniversary board. So obviously you are looking at getting not just the best looking board on the X99 platform, but the best board on the X99 platform. Now, obviously not everyone's going to want to outlay £500 on a board, so obviously, as I mentioned, there are alternatives, but those who do want to spend the money on this board, you know, you're getting the full package, you're getting, you know, full ASUS UEFI BIOS. It's absolutely fantastic. It's probably one of the best BIOSes on the market today. You know, ASUS are pioneers in the BIOS. It's fantastic. Obviously, when you're touching on the features, as I mentioned, you've got the ROG Supreme FX front panel, audio DAC. Obviously, it's got port for 6.5mm, you know, 3.5mm, and obviously 3.5mm audio. I use an ASUS Essence STX2 in my system, and you know, comparing the audio between the two, there isn't really much difference between it. So obviously, when you consider the price tag of £500, if you take away the DAC, you know, the DAC alone is going to cost £100. So when you start stripping the features off it, then obviously you're looking at the X99 gaming anyway. But this particular board obviously has advanced overclocking features that you're going to want if you are a hardcore enthusiast like myself. So you've got the likes of these DIMM switches that you can switch each port on and off, each DIMM slot on the memory, and obviously each PCI times 16 lane, which is absolutely brilliant, what you want for an overclocking board. Obviously, we would have loved to have had this board in liquid nitrogen, and obviously ASUS did actually offer me the chance to run this on liquid nitrogen, but I currently don't have the time to do a full LN2, but a review on it, and obviously a showcase. But hopefully in the future we will get this sorted. Hopefully ASUS will, you know, send the board back maybe in a couple of months' time or so forth, and we can show the true performance of the X99 Rampage 5 Edition 10. Obviously, the reason you are paying £500 for this board is for the features, you know, and you're getting for the features that you get for this board, it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I've still got it here, and it is an absolute fine specimen of a motherboard. The RGB feature as well is second to none. This has the best RGB function on any motherboard that's out there on the market today. There isn't a board that has so much customizability. You can use the ASUS Aura for the GPU, and obviously we had it on the test bench combined with an ASUS Strix card as well. I've got a couple of those lying around, and you know, you can sync them together. So the board RGB LEDs with the different effects, you can sync that with the graphics cards from ASUS as well, the Strix cards, and it's absolutely marvelous. You know what I mean? You know, you've got a lot of I/O as well on the back of the board. So obviously you've got, you know, enough USB 3 ports. You've got you've got 4 USB 3 ports, you've got 2 USB 3.1 ports, you've got dual Intel gigabit LAN. You know, it's absolutely brilliant. On the side that you've also got your 5.1 audio as well. Obviously, if you're going to use headphones, I'd probably use the ROG Supreme FX front audio panel anyway. PS2 port, you know, you've got the Broadwell platform doesn't have integrated GPU, so there is obviously more real estate on the I/O to add extra ports as well, which is great. And obviously you've got a proper audio, a SPDIF out, so you've got proper optical on this board as well, which makes it, you know, one of the best boards on the market. Obviously for £500, you know, I'm going to sum this board up so simply that I could have probably said this in about 20 seconds instead of going through everything with you. Obviously this is one of the longest videos that we've done, but we believe this particular motherboard deserves to have the features explained and obviously everything examined on this board. So to sum it up, if you're an extreme overclocker, you're an enthusiast and you want the best motherboard that you can buy currently in the world, then the ASUS Rampage 5 Edition 10 is that board. If you're more budget conscious and you're not looking to spend as much money, don't get Broadwell E, don't get X99. It is not a budget platform. This is pure performance. It's it supports 10 core CPUs. It's great for rendering, workstations, and obviously ASUS do a workstation board as well, X99 WS, but we won't mention that anyway. But this board, you know, if this board was a god, it would be the god, it would be the demigod, it would be fantastic. Obviously, you know, if you think I'm being slightly fanboyish, that's entirely up to yourselves, but when you've had this, I've had this board for at least 3 or 4 weeks now, and I've been using it and getting to know it, overclocking it, making submissions on hardware, and I'd be 100%, you know, satisfied with this board on LN2. Be nice to see how it performs under liquid nitrogen. I can only imagine it's going to perform brilliantly, like every other ASUS board in the top range that I've used over the past couple of years. But yeah, if I was going to be negative, I would have liked to have seen the armor plate on the back of the board to be, you know, to cover the full board. It would give it a slightly nicer aesthetic, but obviously you're not really going to see the back of the board in the system anyway, so it's not really a con. I just felt like I had to nitpick something just because it is the perfect board, and obviously the ASUS Rampage 5 Edition 10 more than deserves our Platinum Award. It's an extreme board. It's just the best you can get for £500. So if you've got £2 to drop, you want something that's perfect for rendering, a workstation, video editing, photo editing, you know, any kind of rendering whatsoever, then this is the board to get. If you're going to spend £1,500 on a CPU, what's £500 for the best motherboard money can buy? I've been Gavin from player.net. Obviously, if you like the video, please give it a like. If you dislike it, leave a comment below. Leave a comment below. Do you think this particular motherboard represents value for money given all the features that it's got? Or do you think the X99 Strix gaming board would be more suitable? Obviously, I personally prefer this board, but obviously everyone's different, and we'll leave it at that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I've been Gav, as I mentioned, and ciao for now.